Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Season 7 of FRS. We're here in Division 2 once again, Round 8, and we are taking another trip to Portimao in Portugal. Let's take a look at the circuit. 4.6 kilometers around, 15 corners to navigate here, just 2 DRS zones, one down the pit straight and one after turn 4. Very much follow the leader in lots of parts of this track, and a tricky one, but mostly it features elevation changes. It's highlighted by the 12-meter rise and 16-meter drop between turns 10 and 11. So your first big action zones carry the opening part of the lap. Turns 1 through 3, turn 1, quick flick right-hander after the DRS zone, turn 2 flat out, and then turn 3 this hairpin before you head up the hill. And of course that leads into your next DRS zone, turn 5. The hairpin down at the bottom of the hill, your next best overtaking opportunity. The rest of the lap, very difficult to get any kind of overtaking done. You can see that hill in the background. As we take a look at the tires, the soft, medium, and hard as usual. 0.7 of a second slower per lap are the mediums. The hards, about 1.4 seconds slower per lap. The softs will go 10 laps. Mediums about 18, the hards about 25 around this race distance today. So we'll, as usual, likely see the mediums and hards the primary tires of choice for race strategy in dry weather here. Let's take a look at the championship tables. Robin on top, first man in the division to crack 100 points. Gali 13 points back on 90. We've moved up to third with our performance last time out, so up into 85 points. Spen has also moved up a couple spots and is now behind us in fourth. Chronicle down to fifth with Zhao in sixth, just behind him. Dog seventh, Bananarama eighth, Pathaman and Iag rounding out the top 10 as they have since last time out. So let's hop out to the circuit itself. Get ready for qualifying. It is cloudy but dry, so DRS opens right as you get to the crest of the hill. Line comes up quick, and now we will take a tour of the Portimao circuit. Down this big dip, about 70 meters or so. You want to brake, turn in for turn 1. Turn 2 is this flat out right here, and hard on the brakes for the slow right-hander. Turn 3, you want to try and get that car rotated. Up the hill, turn 4 is tricky on power. The back end can want to get away from you, but you're right into the next DRS zone, and you streak along. Not a very long run, about 100-meter braking point for the bottom of the hill hairpin. Get the car rotated. It looks like one of the cars, looks like an Alpine, has gone off ahead. Now, into the quick roller coaster, a quick downshift and a flick. Turn in, downshift some more. Try and keep the back end from complaining as you crest the hill until you get full power. Then big drop down the hill, sweeping up again. Double right-hander, spot a decent braking point. We're a little wide that time through. Down another slope, back up, and you can see the roller coaster. And then on the brakes for this bit of a tight left-hander, get swept over to the left side of the track as quickly as you can. And then kind of an awkward, long double right-hander as it's a little sharper on entry. Opens up as you get to the exit, and then this long, sweeping right-hander. Full throttle in ideal conditions, and let the car track out to keep the minimum speed up as much as possible. Open the DRS, and that is the provisional fastest lap at the moment, although I believe we were the first one to set a valid flying lap. So, hopping out onto the circuit for our second run, we still maintain that provisional pole position. And DRS open once again to go for our second flying lap. Let's see if we can make up some time in these sections. The weather continues to hold so far in this one, but the clouds still very, very much threatening in this one. I believe we were expected to have some rain in the latter part of qualifying, so drivers were really getting out to get their laps in as quickly as possible. We've gained about half a tenth through the first sector there, so we are just about ahead of our previous lap. A little bit awkward through the hairpin. Didn't really make a good exit out of it. We had a little bit later brake on the entry there, but let's see if we can find a little bit more time, extend our provisional pole advantage perhaps. Coming up over the crest, you can see just how long it takes to get on throttle coming up that hill. The back end just complains and wants to try and spin you out pretty aggressively. We brake a little earlier for this right-hander. It's not a great run through there. It actually costs us some time. We didn't quite nail it down. And see, we are still just about a tenth off of our previous best pace. If we can have a good final corner, which was a little awkward, we may find a little bit of time. But we swing into the green numbers as we pitch through the last corner, and we're going to find about a tenth of a second on this lap. Rear wing opens up. And we do go to an 18.583, and that puts us provisionally at the top. But the rain does come in just after Robin set a better time. So we're starting front row, and I will need to adjust that and hold that up a little bit longer. But lights go out, and away we go. We opted to start on the medium tire with Dog behind us. We wanted a good getaway because he's, even though he's our teammate, quite aggressive into turn 1. And that puts us right on the gearbox of Robin. And you can see just Dog looming in the mirrors under braking there, even though I'm waiting for a car to get out of the front of me. And he is not concerned about the brake points of other men. But down into the hairpin for the first time. Robin runs a little bit wide, and I'm already starting to feel a little bit of opportunity. But we're going to be... I came into this race with the idea and the theory of, unless a move is 100% on, I'm not going to cost myself time and go for it. I'm trying to just open up as much of a gap as we possibly can on the trailing pack. Use these medium tires as much up to their advantage as we possibly could. I believe the hard tire was the better heavy fuel tire actually over the course of this race distance. But try and make hay while the sun is shining, and let these medium tires shine as much as possible. So we head down, finish our first lap, just about a half second off the back of Robin, about 3 seconds the margin to Dog. So we're definitely putting in some good times already. Picks up our first track limits warning of the day by running just a little bit wide through turn 1. It's a tricky corner, easy to run a little bit wide through there, and now try to gather the car as it's just kind of sliding and tracking up the track there through turn 4. And there's a bit of that you have to do is keeping the car kind of gathered up. Robin's starting to extend a little bit of a gap from us. We have some wheel spin coming out of the turn 5 hairpin, which costs us a couple meters worth of distance, but we have been quite saved up on the battery power, so we can do some deployment to catch up. Now, I do think over the course of this race, I believe my setup had a little bit less downforce than Robin did. Either that or the lack of assists, especially traction control and anti-lock brakes, harmed me in this final sector or kind of sector and a half because it's tricky traction zones. And I found myself just kind of falling back from Robin entering the final corner. But now you can see in the straight line, we set the fastest lap of the race that time by. But you can see we're pretty quick in a straight line, no battery deployment, and we do make up a tenth or so to Robin. So we're going to continue to put some pressure. DRS now is going to be enabled, so we'll get our first dose of the rear wing opening here on lap 3, and we are about almost 4 seconds ahead of Gali. It looks like he's opened up a bit of a gap to Dog, maybe a small mistake from our teammate there, and has opened up. But we need to try and run away as much as we can, because at the tail end of the life, these mediums are going to fall off. But we're jumping ahead now to lap 9 of 33, and this is how a lot of overtake attempts kind of looked. Not quite close enough to get all the way alongside him to pull up into the braking zone. So lift out early, close the DRS, and tuck back in. And we got close to putting a move on Robin, but not quite close enough. And you can see he's just got a little bit better run through turn 4, which keeps me from being close enough to attack with the DRS through turn 5. The gap to Gali is starting to come down. We are hitting the phase of the opening stint where the mediums are starting to degrade and fall off a bit. The hards are kind of coming into their own and being a little bit of a better race tire. So we had gotten that gap up to about 5.5 seconds, and now it is down to 3.8 and falling. So there's definitely a chance for those hard tires to come around, and it's even at this early stage of the race. 9 of 33 laps in, I'm thinking that the medium tire was probably not the right choice to start on. That the hard is the better race tire, and we run a little bit wide through track limits there. We stay within DRS, but we are going to be too far back, so we do have 2 warnings now. So So we're a little bit too far back to actually make a move on Robin into turn 1, but the DRS will help us kind of close back up to his gearbox. And at least put us in a position to stay with him. So jumping ahead now once more. Lap 13 of 33, and Robin is going to come into the pit lane. We're going to have DRS, so we're going to burn a ton of battery. We've gotten up to about 4 seconds on Golly, and Robin speeds into the pit lane. And we're going to try and put in a barnstormer of an in-lap, but very deep in turn 1, a mistake already. We need a quick in-lap in order to try and overcut him, and then coming through the hairpin. Big snap of oversteer, nearly put the car facing the wrong way, and pushing very hard has cost us quite a bit. You can see we went from about 4.1 to 3.0 on Golly, so almost 1.1 seconds of time loss from just those 2 mistakes, and that is putting the hard tire runners of Golly and Dog quite within touching distance, and they get to go onto the faster tire for the rest of this race. Once they do switch on to those mediums. So still trying to push as much as I can, see if we can come out ahead of Robin. If he has some trouble with tire warm-up, then it could be very nip and tuck, even with the big mistakes that I had into the first sector. But it's been a relatively clean rest of the lap, burned quite a bit of the battery down. And you can see the tire warning on my bottom right MFD, the little orange donut symbol, meaning those tires are at least one tire is over 60% tire wear. So into the pit lane we come, spot our braking point at the bollard, get the car nice and slow, no speeding penalties, and into the pit lane. And we will have to see where Robin is going to come out in relation to us. And here comes the pit crew waiting. Off go the mediums, on go the hard compound tires. Car drops, and away we go. Robin just passing the pit entry, coming down the pit straight, so getting out of the pit lane we go. We are a bit ahead, so we're going to take turn 1, but we're going to have cold tires, so I'm going to swing to the outside, try and let him up and under. And under like very little throttle, the car just stepped out on me right as Robin went through. It was really unfortunate. It looks like Robin picked up some serious damage. But yeah, I mean, I watched the telemetry back on it. I don't even go half throttle there. Like, I'm not even on half throttle. I was fully trying to let him just take the up and under and go to the inside of me. And the car just stepped out. So 5-second penalty for me, totally understandable. I reported this incident after the race. I told them, you know, I think 5 seconds is fair, and stewards did end up agreeing with me. So the 5 seconds is the only penalty post race or that was applied. Nothing extra for that. It was kind of it's a crappy incident. It was unfortunate because I was looking forward to racing Robin. He must have had a real nightmare of an outlap though if the mistakes I made put him right there. So unfortunately he's got damage to the front wing, so he's gonna have to pit again. And that means the championship leader is going to have kind of a tough day bringing the car the rest of the way home. We somehow managed to not pick up any damage. I was very surprised by that. I basically spent this whole lap thinking, like, is my wing broken? Staring at the screen, but it seemed to be in full health. So now we're just going to push along and try and catch up. We've managed to get past Zhao and Peter Ward in the pits. But now, you know, when it comes to that strategy where we really need to pelt it around and get ahead of Golly and Dog by going onto the hard tire early, it's not looking that way because probably, about 6 seconds lost from the incident. Just getting the car gathered back up and going down the road, plus the 5-second penalty. So very much looking like the race win is not going to be on today, even though starting on the front row, and I think I had the opportunity to probably take Robin in a straight fight. I just didn't quite get close enough in the first stint, but I felt like I could have had better pace on the hards. I was about close enough if I really wanted to go for a send. But yeah, so midway point of the race, we are on the hard tire that will go to the end of this race now. And we will see what we can do now. One thing I am noting, I'm running in third at the moment, and it is about a pit stop gap for Golly and Dog. You lose about 26 seconds because it's all down the pit straight here. Basically, everybody gets to blast past you at completely full speed. But Bananarama, 5.6 seconds the margin behind us. is the Banana Man himself. And we've got a 5-second time penalty. So our job is not done in this race. We do need to stay on our game and stay pushing, even if the race win is likely not on the cards here. Just to maintain solid points and a podium finish, we've got to stay outside of that 5-second margin. So still some work to do in this race, even though you know, nobody in my rearview mirror, nobody in front of me visually. So it is very much a kind of a do laps until the end kind of situation, but a lot of checking the timing tower, because you can see 5.8, he's maintaining that pace, and Bananarama have very good race pace on the hard tires this race weekend. Was surprised to see, you know, he didn't qualify all that well, but he definitely showed something on those hard tires at the end, even though, like I've said, the hard to medium strategy ended up by far being the quicker strategy, which both Gali and Dog took on. So coming around to finish up lap 17, and the hard tires not as big of an issue with overheating. We do set a personal best lap at 21.6, but we're not really going to be able to go for fastest lap of the race just because Gali and Dog will have those medium tires on. It'll be very easy for them to set a faster lap. And of course, I believe with the damage, Robin has the opportunity to take an extra pit stop to put on a quicker set of tires. Only 8 runners in this one, so basically you finish, you score points, is how it was going to go this time around. But they're just kind of trundling around, and you can see Bananarama still 5.6 seconds the margin. This lap, you know, trying to save some battery. And there's Robin setting the fastest lap. So as we were just talking about it, Robin takes that bonus point, which he was on to fight for third place with me. I feel bad. I mean, it helps me out in the championship that he's going to finish 8th, but I feel bad that it was an incident between us that has caused that and caused him damage. I was hoping, if anything, he would escape without damage. But into the pits go Gali and Dog, both onto the medium tires. And away we go, and you can see they're already making their way through turn 1. We are nowhere close. Good 5 seconds back as crossing the pit lane entry. They're going to take a minute to get their tires up to temperature, about half a lap or so. Basically, once you hit the fun, fast, up and down, sweepy bits, it is ripping and roaring for those tires. See, we got it down to about 3 seconds of the margin to the lead pack, but with those medium tires, they're just going to start to run away. Granted, because, you know, I've been on these for 5 laps already, and they've got the brand new freshies. Robin goes quicker still. Another fastest lap of the race, goes down into the 1 minute 20s. So Robin showing that pace, although, you know, as I've had in my career as well, that things have gone wrong. You've been knocked out to the back, and you drive very fast and angry the rest of the way. But you can see now those medium tires fired up. We had gotten it to about 2.6 seconds to our teammate, but medium tires are fired up to temperature, and now they are starting to pull away from me. And Bananarama down to 5.4 seconds, so he's putting some effort in to close up. For the rest of this race, I kind of played battery games. I would charge for a couple laps, then do a big dump on one lap, and to try and open the gap up, and you know, try and just make sure that I would catch him if he's pushing with battery, and I can still, you know, hold the gap with charging battery. That's ideal. But it seems like we're just kind of deploying battery in different places. I'm not panicking too much about recharging. And that was me asking the engineer what their tire situation was, and they are indeed on the same tire strategy we are. So we are both going to the end of the race on these hard tires, myself and Bananarama. And so it's just for 13 laps to go now. Just all about that 5 second margin, having to put in the effort to grab the final podium. You see setting another personal best in the first sector, losing a little bit of time in the second sector, but the more, if we keep putting in personal bests, we should be able to go. The degradation on the hard tires is not too bad. It was pretty consistent pacing throughout. Essentially, the way the hard tires fell away and lost pace from their grip was almost perfectly offset by the amount of pace you would gain from losing fuel weight. So that's a 21.8 or just about a 21.9. Dog did set the next fastest lap of the race, so took that point away from Robin. So on those fresher tires, I do think Robin is still running P8, if I'm not mistaken, and could have the opportunity to pit again and go for fast lap. Somebody's taking it away from Dog. But starting the final lap of the race, 5.6 seconds to Bananarama, and we saved up enough battery to kind of go for a full fast lap. We'd gotten our best lap down to a 21.404. We had just done a 21.424 the last lap, so we were still, you can see, still going relatively quick on these hard tires at this stage of the race. And it is just going to be all about finishing up. Dog had a bit of a mistake, dropped off the back of Gali. Was kind of hoping maybe he would think about playing the team game for me today, but alas, no such luck. It's a lot of time to give up 6 seconds plus the 5 seconds. You have to give up like 15 seconds of time and put him at risk to Bananarama if you wanted to give up the position, but yeah, that's how it goes. It's fine. I have no problem with that one. But yeah, so you see personal best in the first sector, really sending it on this last lap. It's not going to be fast enough to take fastest lap point. Peter Ward has a 9-second penalty, although he's also 35 seconds down the road. So we definitely have plenty of daylight. We just need to stay ahead of Bananarama's 5-second margin, which is now up to nearly 7 as we've turned in quite the last lap performance with the battery usage, and we get ready to cross the line and go into the 20s at 20.915. And that should keep us well clear of Bananarama, who finishes about 7 seconds back total. So we managed to grab another podium, a double podium for Williams, but Gali takes the race win. And I believe, also the championship lead. I'll have to check before the next race, but not the way we wanted it to go. An incident got, but I think that tire strategy-wise, third was maximum. As soon as we started on the mediums, it kind of doomed my race. I think the hard medium was by far the better strategy. You can see just the distance that Gali opened up at the end of the race to us. We ended up finishing, like 20, so 17, so we were about 12 seconds or so down the road from Gali. But thank you guys for joining me once again here in the FRS. I will catch you guys next time out. Peace.